internet. How do? I am that Atkins guy, and today TotalCultzone presents some fresh new movies. Straight out of the box and still with that new film smell. Today's show requires me to go on a little road trip though to pick up my guest. Hopefully he brings his ukuleles with him. Hoping the police don't pull us over at any point because, I haven't actually got a licence. The only time I drive a car is in Grand Theft Auto. You know, the top-down isometric one where you could run over the Harry Christmas all in one go and get a bonus. Yeah, I'm old. It's quite obvious listening to this episode back how old I am.
Try and keep out of trouble. There's a good kid in there trying to get out.
You right, Dad?
Be safe.
Right. Bro, you're right.
You're fine.
You're right. Newcastle's basically near Scotland. I can take you halfway. Come on, Nathan. I owe you. What are you doing?
You need to calm down. A bit of fun. It's gonna be a waste of a journey otherwise.
Where are you going to in Scotland then?
I'm gonna visit my sister. Bro, did you see that?
What?
There's like a big tractor.
It's like the book I used to read as a little kid. Red tractor. The little red tractor. Little red tractor, man. Yeah.
What brings you up here?
I'm going up to Scotland and he's
Just dropping something to my mum.
he's doing that.
Come on in, bro! Wait, it's freezing!
So this is England, yeah?
Yeah.
Mad.
Nathan, calm down!
So we're kicking off this new F King movie show with a film called Black Dog. A film that has led me using what could be the most convoluted reason to bring back one of my favourite guests is the tiny guitar man, Mr. John Atkins.
Hello, Dino. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. It's very hot tonight, isn't it?
It's boiling. Yeah, we're recording this at, 10:30 at night, and still very, very warm.
Yeah, I've had to turn the fan off because it would just be blowing into the mic, and it's very soggy.
Yeah, we're both sat here in like vests, and it's like one of those sort of Streetcar Named Desire movies. You know, it's just sort of a sweltering Tennessee heat with big ceiling fans, and yeah. Anyway, I'll let you introduce me or whatever.
You may hear my neighbours arguing in a minute. That might add some atmosphere.
Well, we've got the windows closed to avoid exactly that situation, but it just means I'm that much hotter and sweatier while we're chatting. But luckily, I've been assured it's audio only.
Yeah. Or maybe I could turn my top off. Get some viewers.
Okay.
So yeah, the last time we did a show together was an episode for my other podcast, which is coming back at some point, I promise. Death Is Not the End, where you talked about your life, loves, losses, and had a kick-ass soundtrack. Do you remember what you put on that soundtrack at all?
Off the top of my head, the only one I remember is Superman by Black Lace, which I'm guessing is not one of the ones you're referring to. But yeah, I love that song. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I quite like that one. It's got some memories to it. You said that the New Radicals, Give What You Give.
Oh yeah. Get What You Give. Yeah, I love that song. Yeah.
Sit Down by James.
Yeah.
Extraordinary Mandy Moore.
Oh, that's my all-time favorite. Yeah. Yeah. All the hits. You know. Yeah.
And a song you did yourself called Black Dog.
You played that I think as a bonus track at the end of the episode because it was something I sort of put together in about like an hour, I think. Like it took me probably almost less time to record it than it did to listen to it. And it was a song, I hate to say like I wrote a song about depression, but I guess if you call something Black Dog and sort of yell about things going on in your head or whatever, then that sort of, you can't really avoid the comparison. But that being said, when I brought up the phrase you had never heard its use, right? You were like, Black Dog, is that a thing? What does that even mean? So which made me second guess myself. But it turned out that I was correct because you found, I think, like a Wikipedia page about it. And now, well, this is your podcast, you can introduce it, but now a movie of the same name, Black Dog, that also deals with, amongst other things, the thorny issue of depression.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Black Dog Fury, symbolism that is of a sullen dog that a person is struggling to get off their backs. It links back to the idea of a dog guarding the afterlife and the absence of colour and light. Still, the term itself is seen as problematic these days because it associates the colour black with something bad.
Okay.
So no major musical artist should bother making a song called Black Dog.
Well, luckily he used the word major musical artist. So yeah. Well, the funny thing is, well, the weird thing is, I don't make a huge amount of music, but I never share my music with anyone really. And I have my own podcast, and I won't tell you which guest it was, in case anyone is listening. But I was chatting with one of my guests, and we had got really made a really good connection, a bond. And afterwards, I was like, I really respect you as a songwriter. Would you mind if I sent you one of my songs to listen to? And I'd really appreciate your opinion. Even if you hate it, let me know. If you got any advice, just let me know. And I sent them this song, and basically they've never spoken to me again. So I don't know what that says about my songwriting ability. Even to say this is the most offensive thing I've ever heard or anything, they just literally cut me off. So yeah. Anyway, so perhaps that might be why. I don't know.
Unfriended.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's a good name for a song, actually. But yeah.
Yeah. So, press notes for this film. Black Dog, directed by George Jaques, and film stars Jamie Flatters. He's from Avatar: The Way of Water. Keenan Munn-Francis. It's actually his feature-length debut. And also featuring Nicholas Pinnock, Paul Kaye, Ruby Stokes, Hattie Morahan, Moretti Acharia. I should really look up how to say these names while I'm doing this. I'm supposed to be professional. And Jason Flemyng, who's from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. And as well as directing and starring in it, Black Dog marks Flatters and Jaques' feature screenwriting debut. The film is about two teenage boys from very different London backgrounds embarking on a road trip north together. As they start to open up about their pasts, the boys learn they have far more in common than they first thought. There you go, that's all the press.
Okay. So to me, that cast, just reading those names, you mentioned one of them had been in Avatar? Not the old one from sort of 15 years ago. I guess there's another one or something, right?
Yeah, Avatar: Way of Water, I think it's a new one. Okay,
because the thing is, my cultural references are all about, as my wife will tell you, all about 30 years out of date. So the only guy I knew in this movie was Paul Kaye, right? Dennis Pennis. And all I know, do you know Dennis? Do you remember Dennis Pennis?
I was going to write a little note saying,
"Don't mention Dennis Pennis" or something.
No, I every time someone rings me his name, it's it's Dennis Pennis, isn't it? Because I saw him in, oh man, was it the Pillow Man on stage last year? Amazing performance, and it's Dennis Pennis.
Yeah,
always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. I know, and the thing is, he is a really good actor, right? Yeah. And very sort of transformative and everything, and he inhabits every role I've seen him in. But you're right, I still always think, oh, that's Dennis Pennis. Even with a ponytail or bald or, a beard or something completely that you wouldn't recognize him in. I'm always like, oh yeah. I remember when he was rude to Steve Martin or snogged Chris Evans or whatever it was that he did, So, yeah. But as it turned out, he was only in about, well, is this spoilers? I guess it doesn't matter. He was only in about the first 5 minutes of the movie anyway. So.
Well, yeah, every name mentioned there is in the film for one scene, pretty much.
Yeah, except the two leads, I suppose. Yeah.
It's pretty much their film. I was going to say that this is actually the first film I've watched in a new language called Ute.
What does that mean? Oh, youth. I see. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I don't know how you feel about it, but yeah, I actually come from an area that's the rough same area as these people. It's not down the road, but it's a bus ride. And when
whereabouts was it? I know it's in Brixton, right?
Yeah, it's in Brixton, so it's a pretty long bus ride, but yeah, it's still a bus ride away.
Well, I lived in Brixton for a long time. When I was in London, I lived in Herne Hill for a bit, and also in main central Brixton as well. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dino.
That's all right, go for it. No, but I had to put subtitles on.
Okay.
I genuinely was what's he saying? I don't know. And yeah, I live down the road from where this is set and where these people come from. I mean, not so much Keenan Munn-Francis, who plays Sam. That character's well spoken. It's Nathan, Jamie Flatters' character. He's very lazy mouth and slurry. I call it. It's you can't quite get every word because they're not saying every word fully. And I had to put subtitles on.
That's weird you should say that, because I I mean, for a start, I watch everything with subtitles, but that's partly because I have like a kid running around, and I'm just an old man. My hearing is shot from years of like headphone wearing and loud music and gigs and wrestling stuff. So the subtitles is just a part of my life. But with this particular one, I didn't notice anything difficult about it. Like I didn't have any trouble understanding it, which is good for me. But I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have an issue at all with it, really. Actually.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's strange. Yeah, well, I had to put subtitles on, and they've not offered them for the film because I think it's like a screener version.
Yeah, I think they were automated or something. So I did put them on, and they didn't make a huge amount of sense. Some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's saying literally what they're saying, and it doesn't make much sense. But I got the gist from it. It's like, okay, that helps a lot. But
did you try headphones? Did you try wearing headphones?
I was listening through headphones.
Okay.
Proper studio headphones, and I was like, I just couldn't. Like, I walk around locally, and I hear people talking. It's like, I don't know what they just said.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It may just be me.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I'm old.
I'm old as well, and I have quite poor hearing. But yeah, I had my headies on. I was in a dark room. I had all doors closed and curtains closed, lights off. And I was pretty much able to focus on it, I think. I don't think I had any issues with it. You said it was like the first film you heard in Ute language.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Attack the Block?
I had no problem with that.
I had no problem with it either, but that was like very much meant to be, youth speak. But I found that like really offensive. That seemed to me like someone trying really hard to speak in that language or to write in that sort of dialect, whereas this did feel at least more authentic to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I find it really authentic, but it's not slang, is it? It's more just talking like you would normally, but the way they're talking or the way he's talking, it's like I couldn't grasp every word. It's like, okay, I'm not sure what you just said, but yeah, like context-wise, you kind of pick your stuff up.
Do you have any? I know you probably don't know much more than me, but do you know if the movie was sort of somewhat improvised, script-wise, or
possibly? There wasn't much about that.
Yeah.
I get like the press stuff, and I read a few IMDb things, and wherever I can find. Really, it's been a couple of festivals, so people have seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the description you get is pretty much what you got to go on, and it's quite brief. Because the film is pretty much surface level odd couple road trip.
Yeah. And I have to say, I kept expecting or waiting for like a twist or something like sort of really exciting to happen or something, something really like something that would kind of make me think, and like and flip the film on its head, like I think all the best movies do. And I know they have the sort of thing like, it even said in your press notes, it said sort of like, they realise they're not quite as different as they might have thought at first, but I never got that moment. I never felt that in the movie, beyond the sort of really surface level thing. I mean, that's kind of what, in a way, that's almost like the bare minimum for a road trip movie, isn't it? Like, they don't get on until something happens, and then they do get on. That's basically the formula of a road trip movie. So I didn't get like any kind of deep thing from it. Yeah,
I think it's because they didn't start off like hating each other.
Yeah,
because you have Sam, who's a seemingly straight-laced A.B. student from the house. It's set in London, and property prices are pretty high, so having a house in general is an achievement. And Nathan, kid from the other side of the tracks, the foster home. But then they meet up after Nathan saves him from a mugging.
But also, wait, can we say that?
Yeah, it is. It's early on in the film.
Okay, so he saves him from a mugging, but at the same time steals his wallet. Yeah,
but then sees the driver's license, realises who he is, and brings it back to him because they know each other from school. It's not like they're best mates, though. They have something in common. They know each other to a certain extent. So, like, the road trip thing isn't, like, completely an odd couple thing. But there's no divulging what they went through in school in terms of their relationship.
No, well, except there's like a tiny little flashback scene, but I wasn't sure if that was a dream sequence or a legitimate flashback.
I think pretty much all flashbacks.
Okay. Yeah. Which was actually one of my favourite parts of the movie, but it only lasted about 8 seconds or something. So I'd like to have seen more of that kind of thing, but that just speaks to me as an individual, sort of sentimental guy, not necessarily the movie-going public at large, which I would not consider myself to be, because I don't even remember the last time I went to the cinema. So, well, actually, I do. It was to see Inside Out 2. So, I mean, I like more deep stuff than that normally, but that's kind of, when you're like a family man, that's the kind of thing you get to go to. So, yeah.
I suppose it's come under like indie art house, I guess, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's not a lot goes on with it, and I actually find myself liking that stuff nowadays. It's not fully telling you what's going on. You kind of pick up on things and you make up in your own mind what's happened or what's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll take that. I like that. I do like a movie that sort of leaves you with questions, or just sort of where I don't want to say not much happens, but where it's not exactly plot driven for the most part. But, and again, this kind of speaks to the problem of dealing with like screeners, I guess. Like we were both chatting just now about how we sort of had to watch it with, like, headphones and on an iPad and with pirate subtitles or whatever. And I love going to see a movie, and again, like I say, with a kid, I haven't done it for years, but I love going in the middle of the afternoon. You're shut out from the world. You're in the cinema. All you can do, your phone's off. All you can do for the next 2 hours is just watch a story being told, and to completely wash yourself in that. I honestly think if I'd gone to the cinema and seen this, I would have really enjoyed it. I would have really liked it. But watching it kind of, on an iPad with headphones, you do lose some of the movie magic, I guess. So I'm not, and that's on me. That's not on them. Like I'm sure it's like a good movie, but that was not something that I was able to get from it, I guess. Please cut that last sentence. That was so rambly. And, I don't know what it meant.
It's staying in now.
Oh.
So yeah, the film pretty much picks up when they start the road trip. Or picks up. They go from London into the countryside and see some cows, and that's when the kind of commentary about inner city life, and this is what I got from it anyway, how a big city like London can be amazing to live in. There's loads of opportunities, but the feeling is like it strangles and oppresses you. It's not a bad place, but it's one that's hard to thrive in.
Yeah, something I took from it, Dean, was you said about like London being kind of a cool and exciting place to go to, or to live in, and for me, that is true. But it's like a destination place. When I moved to London when I was something like 23 years old, and it did just feel like the land of opportunity and excitement and cool things and new people and amazing things to do. But Nathan, who was the sort of, I guess, cool streetwise character, was born there, and it's revealed in the movie that he'd never even left it. He's never even gone outside of London because he literally doesn't have the money to do that, and he can't afford to. And I remember when I moved to London as a sort of young, bright-eyed 23-year-old, 90% of the people I met were not from London. They'd moved from another town, another city, a small place, another country. Actually, a lot of people from another country, for the opportunities that it gives to outsiders. But a lot of the people I met who were sort of born and raised in London had certainly not been privy to those opportunities. And that was something, it was only a small part of the movie, I think, but that was something that I took from it.
You say Nathan said about how he'd like to move out of London, but you're unable to make the money inside London to move out there. So you kind of stuck there until you make something of yourself. So where you are now, you're not in a big city.
No, I'm in the smallest city in the country, I think. It's Bath. And that's where I want to be. And again, that's something I've realised relatively recently in the last couple of years. I've had 20 years in the big city, whether it's London or LA. And now I'm like, I need to be somewhere smaller, more comfortable, quieter, safer. And I'm really enjoying, living basically like country life, like literally village life is what we have. And but that's just different phases in people's lives. You know, that's where I'm at the moment. But definitely when I was 23, if you said, oh, we're going to go and live, you know, where sheep will wake you up every day with their barring, and you're going to walk through a sort of field with horses and cows to get your kid to school, I'd be like, oh, no thanks. I want to, you know, be able to go to gigs and do cool things. So I think people are at different stages in their lives, and that's where I want to be now. But definitely as a young person, I wanted to be in a big city doing cool and exciting things.
Yeah, I think this is where the characters in the film realise that, like, the more outside London you get, the more relaxed you are, and the film itself actually gets, like, lighter. There's a lot more green in it. So you go from the city of the council houses and
the factory work and stuff. Yeah,
all the lockups and just very grey, and sort of the mood, more than went out of London, the mood lifted. They relax more, less stress and tension. They kind of reflected in the film because they sort of go for a couple of fields, go for a drink in like on a cliff top, go find a beach, that kind of stuff. It shows a lot of the country, and yeah, they kind of, when he says they learn a lot about themselves, I think it's that kind of thing of they're realising there's more to life than what they're going through. And what they're going through, the film doesn't tell you fully. You get glimpses of it.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you fully.
Yeah, you eventually kind of find out what's going on with some of it, but they don't give you everything.
No, there is a bit, actually, talking of, like, on the beach, there's a bit where they're sort of, like, horsing around in the water, and something happens, and I guess we want to sort of avoid spoilers, but I have my own theories about what happened, but it just isn't discussed. And I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree, and I'm trying not to say too much either because I don't want to spoil it. But do you remember the bit that I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's
yeah. Like I said, they're horsing about in the water, and then it gets a bit awkward, but then they're okay again. You know, they just sort of take a moment to calm down. And
yeah, I think it's Sam lashes out violently because he's like pulled him into the water. It's cold, and he doesn't like it. And I think Nathan has had experience in those situations where emotions have got the best of people and they've just lashed out. So Sam gets out of the water and Nathan slowly gets out and he processes it and deals with it and, like, okay, what's the best way of dealing with the situation? When he's speaking and verbally arguing, he just attacks back, goes for it. With this, it's like a slow realisation of what's the best way to diffuse the situation. Because he doesn't want to sort of push it, because he knows he's upset him and he's lashed out for a reason. Because there is bits, so you kind of, Sam's in the shower and you see sort of bruises here and there, and you're like, is that self-inflicted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I hadn't really picked up. I mean, I hadn't quite figured that out. That makes a lot of sense. You know, way better than my half-hearted reading, which I'm embarrassed to even talk about now. So thank you for clearing that up for me, because yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what I was sort of thinking. But again, it's one of, like we sort of said, or like you were saying a few minutes ago, it's one of those movies where they don't spoon feed you, and they don't even explicitly sort of mention it or anything. So it's just one of those things you have to kind of interpret for yourself, I guess. Yeah.
And after the beach scene, there's again, not going to spoil it too much, but they wake up in bed together because they had to sort of share a hotel, and there's like it's a very subtle scene where it's like, did something happen during the night?
Yeah.
Are they feeling a certain way about each other, or is it like, yeah, they don't dwell on it, they don't explain it, but it's not just a throwaway bit. There's no like, get off me kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and that's kind of what I was wondering was going on the beach. I was wondering if there was something going on the beach that they weren't necessarily both on the same page about or something. But I completely discard all that now that you've given your reading of it. But you're right though. Add that with the bit in the hotel room the morning after, and it's like, I mean, I think it's just sort of two people getting closer and more comfortable in each other's company. Maybe there's not more to it than that. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's not to discount that. I mean, that's a big thing. People getting comfortable with each other, becoming closer. I don't know about friends exactly, but becoming closer with each other. That's maybe that's what the story is. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, I think it's, you get like the 3-act movie. I think this is one that has some pieces missing to it.
Okay.
All for that, because I'm a fan of the bleak and downer endings of films. Not all the time, but it's good to have a bit of have the hero fail occasionally or have some ambiguity, and this film has a lot of that ambiguity to it. Like it ends, you're like, so did what? And you kind of have to piece it together in your head what you want to happen and what you think maybe happened, and everyone else is going to have their own interpretation of it. So yeah, I suppose we can go to like the wrapping up of this now. My thoughts on it: I really enjoyed it. I think the youth speak obviously isn't an issue for you, but
well, what can I say? I'm just down with the kids. I'm just down with the kids,
Yeah, it might need some. Hopefully, the subtitles are there on the proper version, which are correct and can help people. I don't know, but hopefully people overseas watching it, or in America maybe. I don't know.
I mean, you said this has
me.
been out in festivals and stuff. So this is the final edit, right? There's not going to be any more changes.
It should be out in. Okay, the release date is actually 19th of August on Apple and Amazon streaming. No physical release yet, but hopefully there will be one because I am old and I need physical media.
Really? Yeah, I can see all the shelves behind you. I shun all physical media. When you said, "Oh, we'll do like a stream," I was like, I don't even have a DVD player anymore. I don't think. So I'm glad it was on streaming. But yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on it? Were you
well,
enamored?
I didn't love it. But that's a me problem, not a movie problem. I just didn't really warm to either of the two leads. And I get what you're saying about, sometimes it's nice to have a dark movie or have a movie where things aren't spoon-fed to you or where you don't necessarily get the happy ending that you're looking for. But I just didn't warm to the two characters. Nathan was sort of too cool for school, but not in a enjoyable way, like not in a kind of, and again, I suppose it speaks to the kind of movies I would normally watch, like more mainstream movies, where you have the sort of, smarmy, but, worldly, funny character that everyone kind of loves. I just found him annoying. And then Sam, who is the more, like you said, straight A or straight A and B, kind of academically minded, straight-laced character, although not without his own very serious issues that are sort of revealed throughout the course of the movie. He actually seemed a bit underdrawn to me. Like I just didn't really buy his character too much. I mean, I thought they had reasonable chemistry, like, and I was sort of, entertained by seeing their relationship develop. But I just didn't like either of them as individuals, and I wasn't particularly invested in them. I did enjoy, like you say, as they got out of London. I liked how the movie became more colourful. I liked basically all of the bits that weren't just the two of them, which I know when it's like a sort of basically a two-hander movie, is not what you're after. But I liked the bit where he was talking to the hotel receptionist and sort of trying to chat her up. But to me, I guess we're kind of wrapping up, but he sort of seemed a bit out of his depth, in my opinion, there. Because he's only used to sort of, giving it all of that in front of maybe people who are sort of used to that sort of bravado.
Yeah, that charm doesn't really pay off.
Yeah. But, and I liked, I was quite interested in I won't talk about this at all, but the side story with the dog, the missing dog. That was like a really interesting part of the movie as well. But all the sort of stuff that was just them in the car, getting to know each other, I just didn't particularly warm to either character. So like there was nothing for me to cling on to, nothing that I was sort of like, oh, I really want the best for this guy, or I really hope this one can kind of sort out his issues. So I found it a tough watch. Like I say, if I'd seen it in the cinema on a wet Tuesday afternoon, on a big screen with my phone off in the dark, perhaps I would have had a different, different feeling about it. But just my gut is that like it's just not necessarily for me, this movie.
Well, thanks for coming on to talk about it. We'll get you on for another film related to a song you've made.
What's that? What do you mean?
At some point down the line.
Superman, maybe. The Superman cover I did, if there's a new Superman movie.
Is there a Black Lace documentary coming out at some point?
Oh, I hope so. There should be. If not, why not?
Where can we find you online? Give us some plugs.
After all the things I've said today, I'd rather not say where I am to be found. I am currently the ukulele teacher on YouTube, and also have a podcast that is currently possibly on hiatus. 49 episodes in the can. I just need one more to get that half century, but it's called Ukulele Tales. But don't let the name put you off if you're not into ukuleles, because I've spoken to some very cool people, including Nick Cope, who was in an indie band called the Candy Skins and has found a second bite of the famed cherry as a CBBC star, or CBeebies star. He does songs and stories for very little kids now. He's a really cool guy. And I've spoken to the guy who played bass guitar on Paul Simon's album Graceland, Bagiti Kamalo, who is a very interesting chap from South Africa. And also, just a personal sort of cool thing for me, I've spoken to Danny Weinkoff, who is the bass player for They Might Be Giants, which is one of maybe my all-time favorite band. So I have had some very, very cool guests on, and I'm hoping to get a couple more big-ish names in the future when I do a sort of second or third season of it. So Ukulele Tales podcast and the Ukulele Teacher on YouTube.
Do you have a dream guest you're after?
No, I don't know, not really. It's just so much work. It's so much more, as you well know, Dean, as a podcasting veteran. It's just so much more hard work than I thought it would be doing a podcast. I started it because I thought it would just be much easier than making videos, but it's every bit as hard, if not harder in some ways, or time-consuming at least, with all the editing and the jingles and the sort of, post-production work and the pre-production. I'd love to speak to the B-52s. I'd love to chat with them. They're my favorite band, but I'm pretty sure they would not be up for it. Any one of them would not be up for it, I suspect.
Spin Doctors?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to chat with with them. That'd be cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
So if I know anybody that knows the Spin Doctors listening, you know where to send them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dean. It's been a pleasure. Sorry, I don't know. I waited about 20 seconds before I said that.
Show was brought to you by the letter B and the number 20. It was produced by me, Dean, that King Guy. You can find my stuff at TotalCultzone.com. Now entering 6 years of service, which is good because social media's gone to hell. At least you can find me.